South African taxi industry has been dominated for decades by the Zola Bud. It is the Toyota-made minibus taxi. This is Tonight. It is the middle of the day. I am Bruce Whitfield, but you are watching the right show. I'm going to catch a taxi this afternoon, which is very different from the Toyota Zola Buds that you're used to. It's made by Nissan. 2 decades ago, they were a dominant player. Why did they stop? I'll ask Mike Whitfield, who's the managing director of Nissan in South Africa. Very distant relative. You don't need to worry about nepotism. And then Philip Taaibosch, who's with SANTACO. Somewhere there's a taxi with my name on it. Hey! Oh, I've been practicing that all day and it didn't come out right. It's very nice, it's very tall. Mike Whitfield, good to see you.
Good to see you, Bruce.
Ladies, places like this is
Welcome on board.
Philip Taaibosch, nice to see you too.
Bruce, nice to meet you and to be with you in a taxi.
Hey, this is the most civilized taxi trip in the history of taxi trips. Mike, you know how the door works, you made it.
There we are. There we are. Closed.
15, 20 years ago, you guys were dominant in the taxi business.
Correct, with the E20, or as I knew it, the Brahman.
Okay, was it called the Brahman? And why did you stop making them? Why did you allow the Zola Bud to take over the world?
I think fundamentally we felt we didn't have the right product at the time. And the one thing that we have learnt in the many years that we've been involved in the industry is we have a very discerning buyer. And it's very important to make sure that the product you offer can meet their needs. And at the time we felt it wasn't appropriate, and as a result the product came to the end of its life cycle, and we only recently have found a product that we feel fits back into the industry, which is this one that you're in now.
And how do you make sure that something like this does in fact work for an industry that 10 years ago we were talking about taxi recapitalization and bringing Russian buses in, for goodness sake?
I think what was very important is that we made the decision, I think about 4.5 years ago, and we worked extensively with SANTACO, who, as you know, are the official government representatives of the industry. And a big part of that was working together to understand the needs, understand where the industry is going, and what the product requirements are. And this is the result of it, as you see today.
Mike, it's the technology integral to this thing is exceptional in terms of fuel efficiency and the idea of getting more kilometers per tank out of the thing.
Very much so, because I think with the industry, it's not just the actual product. It needs to be broader than that. It's the total package. It's the operating costs. It's the aftermarket support. And very importantly, the total involvement in the industry. And we've adopted the approach that we will work very closely with SANTACO, and our total involvement in the industry should extend beyond just the selling of a taxi, one of the items that Philip and I were talking about earlier, and that is how can we cooperate on increasing the involvement of the industry in the value chain. How can we support the education from a driver point of view, an owner point of view? That's the role we need to play.
Absolutely crucial. I mean, you can make these vehicles as safe as you like. You can put lap belts in, you can make them fuel efficient, you can make them wonderful. But if the taxi driver is going to be a lunatic, it really doesn't matter what you do in terms of the vehicle build, does it?
Let me appreciate what Mike have said on behalf of Nissan, that as the taxi industry, seriously, we've put it before our conference that we are tired of being consumers of products which are coming to the industry, and we are now at a time where we are looking to be beneficiaries of the programs which are coming to us.
But it's about changing driver attitudes as well. It's about changing perception of the public too, in terms of the way in which the public sees the taxi industry.
You're 100% right. We say we want to change 2 things from the driver. We want to change his behavior. We want to change his complete attitude. And by doing that, we will also be creating a space for interaction between the driver and the commuters he's commuting on a daily basis, so that we know what are the needs of the commuters. But also, we want to ensure that there is mutual respect for the usage of the roads and for the roads in the country. And we believe that through the training academy of SANTACO, which the college is based in the Free State, with the assistance of companies like Nissan, we will be able to produce what we are looking at, and that will be a much more value added to the taxi industry.
I mean, 306,000 Rand for this vehicle. It's a lot of money to pay for a vehicle that is designed for mass mobility and for mass transport. The taxi is absolutely integral to the public transport network in South Africa. How do you make money as a taxi operator, though, when you've got such a big upfront cost, Mike?
I think what is critical is not only the initial cost. As I said, it's a total package, whether it's the financing element, the operating costs. And we need to work continuously to find ways, not only with the industry, but with government and with our own principles. How do we optimize the total cost structure? And that's going to be an ongoing basis, because, as you say, this is the foundation of South Africa's public transport.
How do you do it, though? Because here you've got, Philip, a situation where taxi drivers have got a peak time in the morning and a peak time in the afternoon. If they can do 5 trips in the morning and 5 in the afternoon rather than 4, they make extra money. Is there any way around sort of helping the taxi industry manage its businesses better?
I think with the programs which SANTACO is putting forward, as I've indicated, that the intentions with the training academy, it's to bring our drivers to an understanding that they are employees and they should be reimbursed or paid as employees.
Does this go to the whole formalization of the taxi industry? Does it go to the regulation? And maybe even a lot more drivers would like more taxis if taxi drivers and their owners of the taxis pay tax.
And I like the question you are asking, and this is the false information which goes to the people in South Africa. I think you must rather ask SARS one day that they must give you the figures of taxi operators who are contributing to our tax network.
Sure,
in the
you pay
country.
VAT, you pay petrol taxes, but your taxi drivers pay PAYE. Are they registered employees from that perspective?
The majority of them, let me say, are not registered with the Department of Labor. PAYs are not there. But what we are doing is that we are intensely educating the taxi drivers to understand the value of being a registered employee, that what extra benefits are there for him. But also we are educating our operators to understand the unionization of workers, because what has scared our people is the manner in which unions have been behaving. And we believe that there are good things which are within the trade unions, and we want our taxi drivers to understand those things, and for our taxi operators also to understand that unions can never be an enemy of an employer.
When we look at it, Mike, I mean, does this change the face of public transport, not only in South Africa, but you're about to open up a big plant in Nigeria where you're going to be building the Almira, and you'll be building your big trucks, your big trucks as well. You'll probably be building these there too.
Very much so. This is part of the plan. But I think wherever one goes in Africa, the foundation of the public transport system is the taxi.
Yeah.
And I think what was very encouraging, and again, the discussion we were having earlier, is the role that SANTACO is planning on playing in Africa. Because that's very much our future growth focus. As you mentioned, we're going to be opening a plant in Nigeria, but hopefully that is just the start of a lot of projects we're looking at in Africa. And hopefully the taxi will be a core part of that expansion.
We've seen companies like Transaction Capital, for example, taxi finance businesses. The taxi industry is becoming more mainstream, isn't it, Philip, in terms of people's willingness to put up the money, to lend operators the money. It's becoming integral into the economy, not just a service provider to the economy.
Let me indicate, Bruce, that I think if you ever heard about the electronic management system, which we are saying we are making it easy, but we are also making the money of the taxi operators to evolve and revolve within the taxi industry for companies like your financial institutions to understand the seriousness of the taxi industry, that it is a growing business within South Africa. And I think it's proven with the kind of people we are transporting on a daily basis. If I had to give you, we are transporting about 16 million people on a daily basis, and we are contributing 2 billion rand on fuel. And we are also contributing on employment, 7 billion rand to all the employees within the taxi industry. So the taxi industry is a very serious business within South Africa and within the growth growth products.
Absolutely. I mean, Mike, when you look at the opportunity for Nissan in South Africa, Toyota has been the dominant player, and we've just passed a couple of Toyotas as we've been driving around. How long till we start seeing more Nissans as opposed to Toyotas?
I think we must certainly respect the role Toyota have played. They very much are the dominant player in this, and we don't believe we're just going to walk in and take a major share of the market. Our objective is to earn our place in the market, and it's a long-term investment in the market, and we certainly hope that within a not too distant future we'll be doing our 400, 500 taxis a month.
I mean, and that's the target, is it 400 or 500 a month for South Africa's market, or is that an
No, that's very
target?
much South Africa. I think Africa is probably that and a bit more as Africa grows.
For a long time, we talked about making the taxi industry safer. The vehicles play a role, but it does boil down ultimately to driver attitudes. It boils down to public attitudes towards taxis. There's a lot of work that's got to be done here.
I think the starting point has got to be the vehicle needs to meet the safety standards. Thereafter, we need to make sure that we have drivers who can operate the vehicles in a safe way and respect the rules of the road. And I think that's part of the challenge that Philip was referring to earlier.
And you and I are part of that problem, aren't we? I mean, I'm sure you're not. I may
no,
be,
must be you.
from time
Yes,
to
not
time,
me.
yes.
No, I think it needs to be an effort on both us as road users and the taxi owners to respect each other and their place on the roads.
Are we going to see people becoming more tolerant of each other, Philip, into the future with this modes of transport that taxis are not going to disappear out of the South African landscape?
Let me put it to you, Bruce, that already we are seeing that change of attitude. We can see it on our roads. Since SANTACO started its social program, which is called Hlokomela, the road safety program, and I want to appreciate on the very same score the role of Nissan in ensuring that we are able to put this program forward. Nissan is playing a significant role in that program. It's sponsoring us with more than 10 vehicles, when it comes to the usage of the road, the respect, and I think with Nissan again being involved in our training academy, yes, we will have change of attitude from both the road user, the public transport road user, in particular the taxi, and the normal individual who's using our roads. Because I think what is happening there, it is attitude problem and disrespect for each other.
I think my stop is coming up, so I'm going to let you guys carry on your trip. Philip Taaibosch, nice to see you. Thanks very much. He is in charge of SANTACO in South Africa. And then Mike Whitfield, yes, no close relationship. We got the genetics thing going. If you took our blood, I don't know if you could tell. Mike Whitfield is the chief executive of Nissan in South Africa. This is their brand new vehicle. I couldn't quite stand up in it, but certainly it could very well revolutionize an industry that gets a bad rap a lot of the time. That's been Tonight from me, Bruce Whitfield. Have a very good evening, and we're all still alive. In a taxi, nogal.